All right, so this tangle is called Pouyang, and you can go right in and marker with this one. You don't need to do anything in pencil first. The first thing we're gonna do is make this shape that's kind of like a turnip, but I'm gonna give it kind of a little whimsical tail. So here's my turnip, but I'm gonna end kind of right there. So that is the first part. You can go right in and marker. You don't need to do any of this in pencil. And then we're gonna give it a big wide hat brim. So I'm gonna come up and around and down and just give it this nice wide hat brim. And then up on top, it's almost gonna have, what would we say? It just kind of looks like ice cream. So I'm gonna give it a poof that comes up, and then I'm gonna go right here and give it a little more of a poof and meet it right at the top of that little hat line. All right, then we're gonna start here, and we are gonna do the thing we like to do where we make a little bit of a curvy line up the center. And these lines can be sort of close together. You don't have to keep these ones far apart. And then I'm gonna split this section in half, and we have the same ending point and the same point of origin. Then I'll split this side in half. And then I can put more lines between these, as many as I want. So I'm sort of just following the contours on the outsides, adding some lines in there. My hand's a little shaky, but that's all right. I'm gonna add lines till I feel like I'm done. All right, maybe one more and then I'm done. There we go. And then I'm gonna color in one. So I'm gonna start on the outside and I'm gonna color in this first section. So just the first section. I'm gonna skip 2 and color in the next section. So it's not every other, but I'm skipping 2. So then I'll skip 2 more. Color in this section. That maybe, did I color over 2 sections? I don't know, it doesn't matter. Then I'm gonna skip 2 more, color this section in. Sometimes I get confused on sections, or my eyeballs are just not awake enough. So I have to kind of blink, look away, and I'm gonna skip 2 and I'll color in this one. So we're creating this pattern. It's very reminiscent to me of maybe candy or something. And then we'll skip 2, and we don't have another one, but I want to end on a dark section. So I am going to covertly add this last section for myself. And no one has to know that it was not there at the beginning. If you don't tell, I will not tell. And I think I want this section to be a little bit wider. So I'm just going to add that and color in. So we're done with our first section. As we add to this outer section, I'm going to start here. I'm going to go up, but I'm coming over, kind of curling a little bit. It's like it hooks. And these do not have the same point of origin. And the ones here in the center are going to go up sort of straight. And I can turn my paper. So these do not have the same point of origin, right? They begin a little further apart. And as we go over toward the side, we're always going to curve up and over this way. When we get about right here, we can start having a similar point of origin because of how the twistiness works. So as they twist here, they're going to start kind of coming from the same place. There we go. So we've got that half done. Then we can turn this way, and again, we don't have that same point of origin just yet, but when we get about right here, we can start having the point of origin be a lot more similar. Because these lines they're radiating out. Oops. Well, that was a mistake, so now I have to go fix it. All right. So as we come around here, then we can start having them start a little bit at that same point of origin. There we go. So we've made those all the way around. And if there's anywhere you feel like you can fit another one in there, go ahead. Because we're going to color these in the same fashion that we did the others. So they might be a little bit closer together over here on these sides. So I'm just adding however many I feel like. You don't have to add any more if you like what you've got. I'm getting a little bit overboard here, but welcome to me. It's what I do. All right. Now we're going to do the same thing that we did where we color in one. So let's pick one to color in. Coloring it in. And then skip 1, 2, and we'll color in this one. And it helps me to just count them all. So this one's getting colored in. 1, 2. This one's getting colored in. 1, 2. This one is getting colored in. 1, 2. This one's getting colored in. 1, 2. This one. 1, 2. This one. And then we don't have any more over there. So 1, 2, it'll be this one. 1, 2, this one. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, whoops, okay. 1, 2, this one. And then we're good. Okay. So these are all the ones that are going to be colored in. And on the ones we color in, when we get up here to the top, you can bring that over to that next little hump, like so. And that way it kind of looks like it's going up and over, right? So now we can just color those all in. And just enjoy that process. So this is coming up and over. And remember when you're doing this to make sure that you're not concentrating so hard that you forget to breathe, or you're gripping your marker so tightly that it's hurting your hand a little bit. Just relax. If that means you need to move a little more slowly, that's okay. There's no prize for who finishes first. Like I always say, this isn't for a grade. This is time for you to involve yourself in some art and enjoy that process. So let's take this time, let's enjoy it, let's simply think about putting this ink on this paper and seeing what happens. There's no big consequence. If this doesn't turn out really well, there's no consequence to that. It's okay if it doesn't turn out well. And also, this is probably your first time doing this pattern, isn't it? When I did this one for my first time, I wasn't sure mine looked nice. You know, it's okay. We can practice this stuff and decide if it's something that brings us joy. Maybe I want to do this pattern again later. Maybe I don't. Maybe I really don't like it. It's confusing me and I'm done with it for life. But that's probably not the case with this one. I enjoy this one because it's really, really simple to make it look very shiny. The shading is pretty simple, I think, on this one. And also the areas that we get to color in are kind of big, which for me is a big draw. I like to be able to color in larger areas. Sometimes I am not in the mood for coloring in. So if you're in a not in the mood for coloring in type of a day, then maybe this isn't your ideal. But I'm glad that you're trying it. I'm glad that you're here. You never know. It might become a favorite. I think this one looks like very fancy. It reminds me a little bit of a circus tent. Oops, sorry, I'm knocking that right out, aren't I? It reminds me a bit of a circus tent, or a very beautiful piece of candy, or a dancer with a tutu. I don't know, it just has a lot of different floofy, festive feel to it, and I like that about it. This is the basic way that they've put it together with the 2 pointies and the 1 round, but there are a lot of ways to get creative with it. You could make some other sections, but I would encourage you to hang out with this one for now. Just let it be this one for now, and then we'll move on to the section at the top. And we're going to do pretty much the same thing we did with that bottom section. I like to split it with a sort of curvy line. That's just more fun to me. And then over here I'll curve. Ooh, it's a bonus day. We have a dog hair. And I'm going to split each of these in half. And because this is a bigger shape, and maybe we aren't seeing the bottom where it attaches because this part is in front, we don't have to have the same ending point. We're just going to have the same origin point. And we'll add lots of little lines, just like we did to the other. And then you can probably guess that we are going to do that thing where we color in every third. Ooh, my hand does not like to draw upward like that. So I am going to switch directions and do this. So then I'm going to add some of these lines through here. And that will be, I might be getting a little close here, but it's okay. I'm getting very detailed. You don't have to get this detailed up here. All right, I'm gonna settle down. I'm gonna stop. And what I want the most is for my outer sections to be dark. So I think on this one, I'm gonna start with an outer section. So it's gonna be dark on this edge. And then I'll skip 1, 2, and this one will be colored in. 1, 2, this one, 1, 2, this one. Whoops, I got out of my line there. This is the danger of putting too many tiny lines in when the tip of your pen cannot fit in them. But that's okay. I'm just gonna soften this and make it more pleasing to my eye while I'm here so I don't stress about it. Okay, and then we're going to skip 2, and this one will be colored in. And we'll skip 1, 2, we'll color this one in. 1, 2, we'll color this one in. And now, like I said, I want to end on a colored in one. But since I don't have enough, I'm going to split this into 2. So that'll be my 1, 2. And then I can just add 1 more over here, and that's going to be my closing section. So there it is. And now I have all the sections I need to color in are noted. So I'm going to go ahead and color them in. And as you're going, if you feel like you want one of your sections to be a little thicker, you can just make it thicker. That's fine. Because you can't really tell where our original lines were. Ha 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 ha. It's our secret. Artists have a lot of secrets. But the good thing about art is just because you have a very specific plan at the beginning, it doesn't mean it has to be exactly what your ending piece looks like. It's where your creativity comes in. Some of us are planners. Some of us love to have a plan and follow that plan exactly and finish it. And that is how art is very satisfying to us. Either of those ways of being is okay. But I think what's most important is that as an artist, when something doesn't go exactly the way you initially planned or the way you saw it in your head, finding a way to make it pleasing, to make it palatable to you, and working within the situation that has arisen, those little creative challenges are what make art so much fun to me. I like the outcomes. I love making something that other people like, but I recognize the importance of doing what is relaxing, what is pleasing to me, what is making things the way I want to make them. If somebody tells me that holding my pen a certain way is what I must do when I'm drawing these things that are only for me, it's not school. Somebody's not teaching me something. I'm finding the ways that my body likes to sit and do these things. So this is a time for me to have control over my process, over my art and my outcome. All right, so this is all colored in, and this is the direction we started in. So there's that. And now if we want to, we can make these a little more fun. I think I want to make this a little more fun. I'm going to make it kind of a little bit curly. You don't have to if you like yours to just be the way they are, but I want this one to have this little fun thing at the end, because then maybe I can embellish that later. All right, so that is how we draw it. If you want to do some shading, grab a pencil and I'll show you how to do that. If you happen to have a white chalk pencil or a white pastel, something that you can add white touches with, maybe grab that as well. I was doing art with someone and we grabbed some white eyeshadow, and she used eyeshadow for the highlights. So any of that will work. I'll be back to show you shading. All right, the first part of shading is going to be the darks. I'm simply going to use pencil. And the areas we're going to add this are going to be down here where this one kind of is in the shade of the top. So we're going to go all along the bottom of it. Maybe this outside edge. And then also over here on the bottom of it. Just a little bit, and we'll shade it over here on this edge. But up here in the top, it's gonna have some shading, and then over here on this side. And there might be a tiny bit of shade also here along this edge. Come in and over from the side. Shade a little bit toward the center over here, but I'm going to leave this part a little bit more white. So I'm kind of going to do that crescent that I often use to show my shaded area. And then we also, on this piece, would have some shade here coming out this way. So again, it's a little crescent shape. I'm going to push out my lead a little bit more. So it's a bit of a crescent shape, and then this can kind of, can kind of come together and be shaded however it works well for you. I'm also going to add a little shade right over here and in this little corner. Well, it's not a corner, but you know what I mean. So we'll have a small crescent kind of that comes here, and then a small crescent that comes down here. So right like that. Then as we work our way up here, we're going to have some shade coming upward from the bottom here on this one. And our crescent here is going to kind of go like this. So we'll have shade coming out from here. You can play around with putting shade in different places, but I'm putting mine kind of over here, and it kind of is going to the bottom and up. So that's where that will be. And then we might also have some shade right here. So I'm going to add some here coming up to that bottom part. And if you feel like you need shade in other places, you can add it, but I would encourage you to kind of wait. I'm going to add a little coming down from the top. Our darkest side is going to be over here and over here. So that's going to be our darkest edge, but we can shade gently. It's almost like you're not trying to ever make an indentation in your paper. You're just laying that graphite on there, but you're laying less as you come this way in that little crescent shape that you're making. So we're putting some here, but we're laying less of that graphite down as we head over that direction. And let's see, anywhere else we need it maybe? So this crescent is, you know, we've got this shape and the shade coming down from here, so it's not exactly as crescent as the side ones are. But I think that will do us well. And then if you have not blended and shaded with me before, what I like to do is get a little piece of paper towel like so. That was a terrible rip. So I've got a little piece of paper towel. Let me move this out of the way. If you have a blending stump, like the actual art supply that's made to do this, that's great. But I know a lot of people don't. So we're gonna just roll this paper towel up. Kind of, it doesn't have to be as tight as possible, but not super loose. So we're gonna roll it up and then we're gonna smush. So we're gonna smush it down, make it kind of thin, and then we'll bend it over and kind of smash the little tip down. And what this is gonna do is give us an edge that we can blend with. So the way we do that is we start wherever we've laid down the most graphite. And we smudge it around so that we don't see those pencil marks. What's important is we don't go way into that space that we are reserving for white space. We can move into it a little bit, but we don't want to cover our whole shape with this graphite because you'll get some that sticks to the end of your blending thing. But I'm smudging it so it looks more like a shadow and less like I scribbled on my shape in pencil. And then we'll do the same over here. So I start in the darkest areas and I blend that all together. So I'm smudging it. And when I come over here, it gets that graphite on places I have not put it yet. So I want to be a little careful with that. And I'm going to lighten my touch as I get over here to these parts where I don't really want to put a lot of the graphite. So this is something you kind of learn, and it's okay if you're not great at it yet, but you'll learn. I know that you will. And if you put too much graphite on there, you know, if you've got an eraser, it's okay to just grab that. All right, so I'm going to turn my paper so I can blend this dark part upward. And I'm trying to make sure that I leave that white space. And then I can come down from this area that was darker and blend that upward. Into this little crescent I've tried to create here. It's getting kind of dark. So if this starts getting really dark, you can always move to the other side. So like here, if I need a little help, but not from a part of my blending stump that is so graphite-y. So I just flipped it right over. And if I go back to a darker area, I can go use that really dark side. Like up here, this is a little darker, so I know I can blend it with the side that has a lot of graphite on it already. So I'm going to do that. And then when I get to those areas that are maybe a little more delicate, I can flip back over to the one that doesn't have as much of that graphite on it and do my little, I guess what would we call it, our finer blending detail. Yes. All right, so there we've blended all of the dark parts, and you can kind of look at it and you can see that we are getting some great shade. What I'm going to show you next is how I add white to it. So I'll be right back. All right, so it looks pretty good the way it is, but we're gonna just bump it up a notch. I have this is like a white pencil. So you can use a white chalk pen. You can use a Q-tip with some white eyeshadow, anything you have that's white. And I'm going to add some quick lines of glare that will add to the way this looks really shiny. This is going to be so impressive. I love it. And I'm going to go with the curve of the design, and I'm going over the black stripes. And I'm not really gonna like blend this because I want it to just be a stripe. So that is also, well, this one can be a little bit thicker. This one can be a little bit thicker. I just want to have that black part. I want to show the glare on this black part that kind of goes through. And this part would have a bigger glare because it's more oniony and round. And then up top here, same deal. This is going to have kind of a bigger white line that goes across and maybe goes up and down. But that's all I've got to do to get that white on there. And this, I have never used this particular white pencil before. It's brand new, and it is squeakier, and it's not quite as dark maybe as some of my other ones have been. All right, so this one's going to have a big white spot here, and then that line that goes around here, and then this one also is going to have that big white spot on it. So let's just get this going right in here. And then I will grab one of my little blenders that I have, and I can blend out these edges here. And then I'll do the same over here. I'm going to blend the edges. I'm trying not to pick up any of that graphite when I blend the part that's just white. When I'm blending over here on the graphite part, it's fine, but when I blend the just white part, I want to make sure that I'm using a clean part so I don't get pencil in it, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to quickly blend this and quickly blend this out here and here and leave the edge. That is my finished product. So if you look at it, it does really look very dimensional. I don't know what happened over here. I think I smeared my pencil too far out. But this right here, like this line that goes through the middle of all that black is it's kind of our magical, oh, that's a terrible sound. I'm so sorry. That's kind of our magical glare right there. And then we can have one here too. And we've got it coming right through the center here. So that's our glare. That's how we know that it's really, really shiny. And again, the name of this pattern, if you are looking for it, is Pouyang, and it is a brand new one that was just recently introduced. So you may not see it everywhere, but I'm sure it will be everywhere soon. You can add any sort of little flourishes to this that you like. I'm going to add maybe some fun little tendrils coming off of it here. That's always my favorite. I like the little floofy things like this. And then maybe I'll add a few heading off this way as well. But you can do anything you want. You can have it face this way. You can have it face this way. You can decorate the background. You can give it some boundaries and fill it in with other patterns. I'm going to go ahead and put my little signature on there, which is just a K. with a heart. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope yours is turning out well. Here is what mine looks like up close. You can see when we look at it up close, it's not quite as impressive as when we kind of back away from it and we really start to see that light, that glare. So if you're finding that you just don't see it, you don't see it at all, hold it out at arm's length and look at it, and then look away, and then look back at it. Sometimes that can help you see what we've drawn does look like light. It does look like reflection and darkness. So I hope that you've enjoyed this, and I look forward to having you come back to work with me again.